Welcome to the Guitar Channel. I am super happy to welcome you a new interview. I am in the middle of the crazy 2019 Winter NAMM and with the also crazy luthier Juha Ruokangas. Juha, are you surviving day one?
It's going great. Yeah. Having fun. Yeah. Having a lot of fun.
What's new since the Holy Grail guitar show back in what? Back in April or May? I don't remember.
Back in May. Yeah.
Back in May,
well, for us, definitely the big new thing is the Valbucker.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first and the only tube-driven active electric guitar pickup in the world.
That's pretty cool. I remember when we did the very first interview we did together at the very first Holy Grail guitar show, you had the NAMM guitar with the prototype. It was like 5 years ago, something like that.
2014.
Yeah. So why did it take so long to develop a new pickup?
Yeah, it's been quite a challenge. Yeah, the Captain Nemo was, like you said, it was a prototype, and sorry, I have to do that again.
No problem.
Well, yeah, Captain Nemo. It was a prototype, as you said, and that one, as cool as it sounded, it was far from something that we could call a product, because it was so kind of out of control in a way.
Okay.
Yeah, it sent way too strong signal to the amplifier, for example. So only some amplifiers could deal with it.
Okay.
Others couldn't, because the signal was just too strong.
They would burn or something like that?
Well, yeah. So and also the kind of the user interface of that guitar, it didn't have a switch. I mean, it had one pickup, and then it had a treble and a mid and bass control and a volume control.
And there was a big outside box also to control it?
Yeah, so it was a crazy one-off project that we even did not want to go into trouble of reproducing that.
Okay.
But we saw the potential in the sound, so we began the journey to hopefully making it into a product one day. And so we ran into a lot of different kinds of problems. Because what we are doing with the Valbucker is that we're kind of, you could say that we are misusing the tubes.
Okay.
You know, we're using tubes that are meant to be run with like mains voltage, but we're running them with smaller voltage. But typically when you're running a gadget with low voltages, the tubes won't function anymore in the way they're supposed to work, and basically. Typically, you could end up in a situation where you have these cool-looking light bulbs, but they don't do anything, you know, for real. And that will be a gimmick. And I didn't want to. That's not what we wanted to do. But we wanted to kind of make it into a system that would be. So we set the challenge that can we make this work? Can we get that sound that we had in the Captain Nemo? But can we make it into a device that is easily integratable to your guitar system? So we needed it to be something that, you know, you can run power from your pedal power, and it doesn't take any huge amount of equipment to make it all work smooth. And so these were the kind of parameters where we headed off, and I had. It's not like, I mean, for me alone, this process would have been totally impossible. I mean, I'm not knowledgeable person about the technology involved in this, and so I had this. First of all, the same engineer, one of my luthier's father, who worked on the Captain Nemo circuit. He helped us out, and we had his best student ever.
Okay.
Another tube specialist, Lassi Ukkonen, who has, for example, designed the cymbal pedal. and a lot of other. He's the to-go person in Finland for pro musicians if they want their amplifier to be modified or stuff like that. He knows everything about tubes and more. He's absolutely totally nuts with that stuff.
All the Finnish people are nuts anyway. No?
I guess so. Yeah, and Lassi was kind enough to hop in with us. So it was Jyrki, one of my luthiers, his father Jorma, and Lassi, and me, that went on with the research and development. And like I said, we're kind of misusing the tubes, and we were able to find these old tubes from the 1940s. They're not 12AX7. They're not the typical tubes that you would have in an any kind of electric guitar amplifier or stuff like that.
Yeah, I was about to ask that
unusual.
question.
Yeah, they're a bit unusual. There's one triode tube and a pentode tube from the 40s, and these tubes haven't been manufactured since the 1960s.
So they are not built anymore?
No, they're not built anymore. But they are
kind of scary, no?
Not really, because they're tubes that don't have any commercial application anymore, but there is loads of them stocked, like NOS tubes, new old stock tubes from the 40s, 50s, 60s, laying around in storages, and they're pretty good, like affordable priced even, because there's not very wanted applications for it. So, but we were able to find these tubes, and I remember at some point I ordered, without really knowing yet if this is going to be the tubes that we're going to use. And Lassi told me that, that you need to order a bunch of those tubes so we can start measuring and understanding what those tubes do on lower voltages, so we can find an operational point from those tubes that will sound good even though we run it with lower voltages. So we had to kind of relearn. There was no data. There's data about all possible tubes that have ever been made in the world, but the data is based on the voltages that they're meant to be used on.
So you had
so
to,
we didn't have
produce
data.
Data.
So we needed to start measuring tubes. So I ordered 1,000 pieces of military spec tubes, U.S. Army tubes from the 1940s and 1950s. I ordered from the USA. And I was there sitting next to Lassi for days and measuring those fucking tubes. Like, oh my God. I was measuring and measuring until we found out that, okay, this is how the tubes function, and this is the values they give on these voltages, and we are actually able to use them to our application in the way we want it.
And is that okay to say that? So we have a regular magnetic pickup. On top of it, you put some kind of a tube-powered booster, or
No.
is that the wrong way to look at it?
It's the wrong way to look at it, because because we put out some videos and there's been a lot of comments. A lot of critique.
It's going to burn or blah blah blah.
Yeah, all kinds of things. Yeah. So, and one of the most common questions or kind of false assumptions has been that that why don't you just put the preamp on the floor?
And why don't you put the preamp on the floor?
Yeah. So here comes the answer. So,
thank you.
The magnetic pickup here, it's very different from a normal pickup. It's an extremely low wound pickup, like a very, very weak pickup. On its own, it would be kind of unusable because the signal is so weak. And when you have such a pickup, what you get is something that you cannot get from a normal passive pickup. You get a full frequency response. You get from 20 hertz to 20,000 kilohertz even frequency response. You get everything that is coming from the guitar.
So you get more information from the guitar.
You get more information, more raw information. A healthy signal, but very weak. And if you would run that very weak signal through a long cable on the floor, you would lose highs, and it wouldn't work like that.
Okay.
And that way you can compare this to an EMG active pickup. EMG active pickups also, the magnetic pickup itself is weak, and then it's amplified in the built-in preamp with solid states, with transistors, right? And so what we are doing here is that we have this beautiful frequency response from the very low wound pickup, and we are amplifying it with these two tubes. We are amplifying with the first tube, and with the second tube we are voicing it, and we can do different kinds of voicings, and we have very many different possibilities of doing it. So we can make this, even though it's just one pickup, we can make it sound like a bridge humbucker, we can make it sound like a neck humbucker, we can make it sound like a sort of like an acoustic guitar with piezo. And this wouldn't be possible other than with this very special magnetic pickup that we're using.
And even though you are using tube, it's not like a built-in overdrive either, right?
No, it's not an overdrive. You should more think of it as an active pickup.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an active pickup, and you can. I mean, in this guitar, there is a 6 decibel boost here.
Okay.
So there's a boost switch here, and if you think of it in the way that you run your amplifier on the edge of distortion, edge of the overdrive, and then you kick in the boost, you will make it overdrive, but it's not an overdrive generated by the guitar. So this is the signal output that it gives to an amplifier. It's like a normal electric guitar level signal, but we have way more precise control over what kind of a signal we're sending to the amplifier than we would have with a passive pickup that has only magnet and coils to try to find a good sound. And when you have a normal passive pickup, it always colors the sound in one way or the other. So it kind of, which is great. I mean, this is not supposed to be a better system. It's a different approach that most players will most likely feel that it's totally unnecessary. Okay. It's too weird, and the matter of the fact that they don't even want to know about this system. Because you know how guitar players are.
Oh, yeah.
They're
we love the old stuff. And
1956 this and 1952 that and 59 that. Yeah, and when you do something out of the box, you're gonna be the weirdo.
Yeah.
And
you are lucky not to be burnt alive on the public place here. Huh?
That's right. And it's funny because when we put out these videos that have gained enormous popularity, we have I think yesterday I checked one of the videos that had since we put out a press release about Valbucker a few days ago, it had over 35,000 views in just a couple of days. And people are totally loving it, the idea, or totally hating it, and they are very emotional about it.
Okay.
Which tells me something. I mean, it tells me something that I feel that it's a positive thing in a way, that when they get all emotional about it, because it tells that we've hit something. We've hit a nerve in a way that they either feel that this is a fascinating possibility to expand my range to express my music, or they feel that's I think one of the best comments on the negative side was no offense, but that invention is fucking stupid.
But no offense.
No offense. Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. No offense, but fucking stupid, right? But I mean, I can kind of relate to that, because if you think of it, it's so easy to label this as a gimmick. It's so easy to label this as just, that you put a tube to anything. Next there's gonna be two picks and tube strings
Wow,
and
what
tube,
an idea,
you know. Yeah, I want new tube sneakers, And people are making jokes about that in the commentary of the videos. And I get it that you can label it like that. But the truth about this thing is that, okay, it does, it looks great, it looks cool. Especially when it's powered up and it starts glowing and all that. It has that cool aesthetics to it, but the reason why we are doing it is not that looks. The reason why we are doing it is that it sounds great. With this technology, we can make a sound that has this headroom and dynamics that is very, very unusual. It's so unusual that when a great player picks up this guitar, they're usually like they don't know where to turn with it, because it doesn't fit into any of their familiar boxes. Okay. It's not a Tele, it's not a Strat, it's not a Les Paul, it's nothing they've played before. And that to me is like the super exciting part about it. When was the last time somebody brought out something genuinely new to an electric guitar that sounds so new that you can't place it into an existing box? That's cool. And that's what I think it's the novelty and the brilliance of this. And then time will tell whether it will be popular, whether it will fail, whatever. I'm not really even so interested in that, in a way, because I know that it works great, and I know that it would serve great certain kind of players that are analytic about sound. They want to listen to really listen to the sound. And the only real way to understand what this guitar does is to pick it up and try it and play it. Then you realize what it is. Before that, even listening to somebody play it, or you can hear that, okay, it sounds great, but so do many other guitars sound great. But you kind of realize the difference in dynamics, the difference in the sort of percussiveness of our acoustic guitar modeling. That it's different. It's something that is just didn't exist before.
All right, you convinced me. I'm sold.
You gotta try it later.
Yeah, sure, for sure, I will. Let's say I want to have one of these guitars. What's the price? Do you put it in all of your model, or for this one, for example?
We can put it basically to any of our guitars.
Okay.
So far, we haven't put it to others than the Mojo King and the Unicorn Supersonic that is right here. Okay. But we can put it. We have some guitars in the works that is now Unicorn Classic, and Duke Classic is being made with this. And we got an order a couple of hours ago for an Eon with 24 frets, like a Super Strat, with a Valbucker. And so we can put it to any guitar. And the price of this model with the pickup is in Europe, it's 5,500 euros.
Okay.
So in dollars, it's $6,000. Yeah.
Okay. So it's I guess there will be a price difference compared to regular pickups.
Yeah. So this is basically it's kind of easy to understand that it's 1,200 euro add-on to our prices. So you have our very basic, let's say a very basic Mojo Classic, that would be like 3,100 euros. So then with the Valbucker, it's plus 1,200 to that in Europe. So it's,
That's pretty cool to be able to develop a new technology like that. And is that something you want to keep to yourself, or you are open to from proposal from Luthier brand to license it?
Well, for now it's for ourselves. Just okay. Yeah. It's quite a complex thing. We are and you can't retrofit it to anything. Yeah. And so we're more thinking that it's like it's this weird thing that we can offer in our own guitars. Maybe in the future we'll see where it goes. I'm not holding my breath that somebody will want to license this technology from us, like really big time, because I know how conservative and how a lot of people feel it's so awkward. How do you run this? How do you implement this into your with the rest of your gear to your rig? And we've worked on that side also a lot. So we have all you need to use this guitar is that there's this little FX size box, like a standard size box that gets its 12 volts AC power from your pedal power or from the power supply that comes with the guitar. This guitar connects to that box with an XLR cable, with a 3-pin normal mic cable. And so with 1 pin, we get the 12 volts into the guitar, and with the 2 pins, there's the ground and the hot wire that, the signal travels from the guitar to the box and on to the rest of your pedals. So this pedal is like, basically, you could think of it as, if you have it in your pedal board, it's the first pedal on your pedal board before the tuner. Yeah. And it's an AB box, so it has 2 inputs. It has a switch and 2 inputs for the Valbucker and for the rest of your stuff.
So it's very easy to integrate to an existing pedal board. Yeah.
Very
smart.
Very easy. And so we've tried to make it kind of like something that you can integrate. So far we don't have an application with the wireless. Maybe we do. We could sell it with a backpack with this car battery,
What an idea.
Yeah, car battery on your back, like 10, 12 kilos on your back.
I know you were exhibiting in Japan in Tokyo. How was it? Was it the first time you've been to Tokyo?
It was the first time in Asia, any place. So it was, first of all, it was a cultural shock for me. A guy who lives in a place where we have way more trees than people. And then I'm thrown into Tokyo, and oh my God.
It's kind of the opposite.
Oh yeah, very much the opposite. But I enjoyed it a lot. I mean, I enjoyed Tokyo. There's something with the mentality of Japanese people and Finnish people that we share. I mean, the kind of seriousness, there's a lot of suicides in Japan and a lot of suicides in Finland. So I don't know if you can draw any conclusions out of that, but it tells something about a mentality, anyways. And the show was great, and we have a great cooperative partner, Nuvelax Masahiro Murayama there, and he's doing just absolutely fantastic work for many European builders, because his concept is, he imports to Japan only European stuff, which is unique. I mean, nobody else does that on such strict level as like Masahiro is doing. So it's great. Yeah.
Well, Juha, it was great to be able to do yet another interview together. So, again, I congratulate to be able to bring some funky, interesting ideas like that, and good luck for the rest of the adventure.
Thank you, Pierre. Always a pleasure to be interviewed by the Guitar Channel. I love what you guys are doing. So go subscribe the channel, Go subscribe.